the live stream right now. Oh my God.
Mm.
Go live. Let's go live. Let's go live. And it is on. We are on YouTube. And now it is the Mandalorian Aftershow, folks, here on JLJ Media, Season 2. The Aftershow of the hosts. Hi, I'm James Lott Jr. There is my Star Wars comrade in arms.
In arms, James Lott. Coming fresh off an Eagles win. We beat the New Orleans Saints. I'm taking the hat off. It's a fresh win. I'm still celebrating.
It's a fresh win. It's Ryan Nilsen, folks, and we are back. We're here on a special day. I want to thank everybody because every episode that we've done, we've gotten more viewers and listeners each episode. So something's happening, which is kind of crazy because the season's ending next week. So
next week,
we thank you for giving us more. I mean, I look at our numbers on the audio podcast listener. We love
audio listeners.
Audio listener. The numbers are doing well there too. So thank you. We know you have a lot of choices in this show, but we love talking about it, enjoying talking about it. We're glad anybody who tunes in or listens or watches. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And I have a feeling there's going to be plenty of future things to talk about, James Lott.
Oh, Ryan.
We're going to start right news.
Before we're going to start with news, and this is not even gossip. This is news. We're going to start beginning before the episode. It's episode chapter 15, episode 7. We'll talk about that. It's pretty straightforward. Episode. We'll talk about it in a second. It was good, but seriously, folks, Ryan, seriously.
Did Christmas come early this year, James Lott?
I think it did. I sat there and I was just like, what?
See, I sat there, every year my family's like, what do you want for Christmas? I'm like, I just got it.
Like literally. I'm good too, Ryan. I'm good. I don't really need anything. As a Star Wars fanatic, I'm just like, I'm good. Thanks, everybody. See you guys in the next couple of years. I'll be watching Disney Plus for the rest of my life. I mean,
and it's funny because at first, and I was a little mad at how the order in which they announced it, because at first they're like, we're doing 10 new shows, and that was it. And I was like, wow, that's kind of crappy of you guys to just say we're doing 10 shows and then no details about it. What the heck? Like that's so vague. And I even tweeted out, I was like, I'll be the first to say that's too many shows. And then they went into the details. Then they gave us titles. Then they gave us names. And I totally took all that back. Holy cow.
I mean, seriously, and obviously we could be on here. We could do the whole show on each show separately. But if you want to just mention some, and hello, everybody who's watching, it's going to start coming
List them off.
I mean, Andor. I was going to start with that for one. Which I would love Rogue One. Diego Luna is. I want to get. I want to get it on. I can't get all these details, but he's like the producer of this, of course. He stars. He was in Rogue One. Now to get a chance to explore that whole world, that time period, right, Ryan? I mean, hello.
Right. I mean, yeah. And this is one that we did know about. They're actively filming it now, but we got to see a little featurette, a little teaser, a little sneak peek. First look.
Loved it.
And it looked really fun and great. And to be honest, out of all the shows, that's the one I'm least excited for, but I still got excited because of that little first look.
It was great. No, I like it. I'm excited. I love Rogue One. I like the time period that is part of it. I just, like I said, when he said we were so sad when we were done filming because we knew, people die at the end. Basically, that was it. My man Darth comes in and does his thing. Spoiler if you didn't watch this movie. But now I get a chance to explore that whole time period and them, and I'm very excited to see what they do with that because they look like they're really earnest about it. So they're really going to put their heart and soul into it. So I'm very excited. We're gonna do the A's. I mean, Ryan. We don't know much. I don't know much, but he knows he loves her. Ahsoka's getting her own show. I asked you, do you think they would give her a show? You weren't sure. Well, hello.
I wasn't sure. I should have been more confident, but I mean, hey, and this is one that I think we did not know we were going to get, but it was very expected. The episode itself was like a backdoor pilot. You and I both said that when we reviewed it and talked about it into the after show. I couldn't be more excited. And the logo itself was very world between worlds, which if you watch Star Wars Rebels, you'll know what I mean. Couldn't be more excited. And that's the first kind of spin-off of Mandalorian that we are getting in this list of announcements.
Because folks, what that means, they said it will be part of the Mandalorian universe. So
It
same
will.
time, everything. So that means crossovers can happen, things can happen. So it's during the Mandalorian. So that's a spinoff, kids. I'm very excited to see what they do with that. Do you think they'll follow the book or make a whole new story? Like, what do you mean? You read the book?
I think I don't think they're gonna. I think the book is its own thing. I think this is gonna be the same time period as Mandalorian, and it's gonna follow her with that Grand Admiral Thrawn. I mean, even in the episode, she's like, "Where's Admiral Thrawn?"
Yeah.
I think that's clearly the big baddie they're setting up for her, as amongst other things. So maybe we'll get some fill in the blanks of the time period we haven't seen her yet. But you're right. It's a spin-off Mandalorian, and maybe they might intersect.
I just popped my knuckles. It felt good though. Okay,
good.
now one that I was very surprised.
What were you surprised of?
Not surprised about. We heard about the Obi-Wan thing coming.
We did.
That Hayden Christensen.
Oh my God!
Back as Darth.
Okay,
now,
so
what has he done since? I haven't seen him since. So I was saying the actor. So be careful.
Hayden's been chilling. Right. He's been just chilling on the couch. I even tweeted a week ago, like, man, I could just picture Hayden Christensen like living his life day by day. Maybe he goes to like a little trip to the movie theater here and there, checks out the new stuff, sees what they're up to, but just mind his own business, give him back to the community, of course. And then he gets a phone call, and it's Deborah Chow, and she's like, "You want to don the cape one more time?" I could not be more. I mean, I want to hear your thoughts, James Lott, but like this is the easily the number one most exciting show for me. This is the story we wanted to see and fans have wanted to see ever since the original trilogy ended. Like when we heard we were getting prequels, everyone thought, oh, it's going to take place right before A New Hope. And instead it went like 20 years back and we got to see him as a kid and We're going to see all that. We're getting another Obi-Wan Darth Vader fight. What do you think?
I'm completely, you know me. I mean, everybody knows I'm your father. So Darth is my man. You know that already. I could not be more intrigued. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm very intrigued. We've seen Hayden act in a long time. So I mean, I hope he's doing really good.
Right.
Because it can be a really great, it could be a really good show. Like I agree with you. It's like probably my most exciting one too, of one I'm excited about too. There's so much potential, but it also the potential to go wrong too. So I'm nervous. I'm like,
you know what? I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not nervous. I'm very confident. Okay. I do think you're right though. Like we've been burned. I think the fair thing is that Star Wars is all about redemption, right? Even Darth Vader, that's his storyline. Hayden Christensen, I think he's a great actor. I think he wasn't given the best direction. He didn't have a lot to work with dialogue. As much as we all love the prequels still, like they've kind of like surfaced back into Star Wars. People like him again.
They do. Yeah.
He didn't have a lot to work with, to be honest. And I think, hey, now he's in the Vader suit. You got someone like Deborah Chow directing him. Yeah. I'm seeing win, redemption. I'm seeing this is such a baller move and easily the most exciting show for me.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see where they do go with that because it is very highly anticipated. You're right about that. We all thought this was going to happen a long time ago. We're all ready for it. I'm thinking big budget. It's going to be big. I'm excited.
This is like a childhood hero of mine too. I was going to say, like I grew up with the prequels, and even though I didn't love him a lot, he was the guy. Like that is the guy. I wanted the long hair. I wanted to look like Hayden Christensen. He is the idol. So I can't be more excited. Couldn't be.
Hi guys. Hi Small Town Cali TV. Great content creator. Hey, what do you guys? Hello, you guys.
Just a Small Town Cali TV.
Yeah, he's great. He's gonna be on one of my shows. We gotta work on it. We're gonna work on a date to have you on my show. Okay. So, what are some of the others that I have not mentioned that I'm gonna give you a chance to mention a few others that they mentioned? What do you think about them?
Oh yeah. Okay. So we said Andor. We said it'd be Ahsoka. We said Obi-Wan. Rangers of the New Republic.
So what is that? Where is that from?
So that's one we don't know a ton about. However, we do know that is the only other show they announced that's also the same time period as The Mandalorian and Ahsoka. So it seems like these are the two spinoffs. I'm assuming that it's going to be with Cara Dune, Gina Carano's character. She just got the Republic, thing, and
the Marshal, yeah. So
right. Yeah. I assume it's going to be with her. I assume it's going to be stories with like old Republic Rangers and I think that what they're setting up here, if you're familiar with like the Netflix Marvel shows that they used to do,
Yeah.
I think they're setting up something similar where like Mandalorian's like Daredevil, and then Ahsoka's like your Jessica Jones, and Rangers of the Old Republic is your Luke Cage and your Iron Fist, and they're all going to come together in something.
That's why. Same thing with the DC stuff on CW. They would have their crossovers.
Yes, I think it's just like that.
Yeah, I like that. I have no problem with that. I love crossovers and shit. I love it. As long as it makes sense, I have no problem with it.
And we also, the only other detail we know about this is that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni also came up with this show.
Yeah.
Don't know if they're full on running it, but we know they came up with this one.
Yeah. So I agree with you that way. I don't know much about it. So I was like, okay. And there's a couple others. I missed a couple.
There's like two other ones. The Acolyte, which is
yes.
That's my next most exciting.
That sounds interesting. It does sound very interesting.
That's going back 100 years.
Yes.
It's the High Republic, which we're getting a ton of books in that era that are coming out in January.
Yes, which I'm excited.
I cannot wait. I think this is the most exciting. This is the creator of Russian Doll, that Netflix show about like clones or whatever.
Yes.
And she is running this show. She's going to be the showrunner and writing it. And it's taking place at the very end of the High Republic era, which I don't know the exact time period, but I assume it's 100 years before. Brand new characters. We might get like instead of a 400-year-old Yoda, we might get like a 300-year-old Yoda.
Right.
So that might be the only character that crosses over. But holy cow, the possibilities are endless, James Lott.
I know. That one got me excited too. I was like, oh, okay, this one sounds, it gets us the time periods, because Star Wars is all about the time periods. Of course, I grew up with the originals. So, I grew up with the originals. Now the 4, 5, and 6. But I grew up when they were the originals. And so, of course, I'm partial to that time period. And that's when all the soap opera stuff was. A lot of the drama happened back then.
Right.
I'm always looking to see what else is out there. There's so many different eras they can go by, and I want to explore the other eras.
This is something that there have been so many video games in the past about, with like the Old Republic, and just so many books have been about this, and they kind of erased all of it. And now they're starting anew, but I think they can cherry pick what they want from that other pre-existing media.
Are you surprised that they're picking stuff out of the other types of media, like the games? They're picking stuff out of the games.
Right. I'm not. I think it's smart. I think it's like, hey, this worked. Let's take that. Thing is, people forget there's a lot of stuff that didn't work in that stuff, and they can't just make it, legitimize all of it, because a lot of it's bad. But you should take the stuff that's good and try to make it work as best you can. The one I wanted to hear, I think the most underrated show that they announced is Lando.
Yeah, no, okay. Now that's another one I'm highly.
You texted me about this.
Yes, I did. I'm very, very, very curious about that.
Well, so the big question is this: they didn't announce whether or not it was going to be Billy D. Williams or if it was going to be Donald Glover.
No, they haven't.
I think it's going to be both. I think we're going to get an old Billy D, maybe in the time period of like the sequel movies, flashing back to a storyline in his youth, and I think we're going to be going back and forth, True Detective style. I think that's the way to go. They're both alive. I don't think this is going to be like a multi-season show. I think it's going to be similar to the Obi-Wan show, where it's a one-off. You get like 6, maybe 8 episodes, and it's the creator of both the movie and the show Dear White People, which you can see on Netflix.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Holy cow.
Yes, and I have the Lando books. Actually, there's one Lando book adventures I showed it on here once for a long time ago. I'm very curious, because he does have his own story. So I would love to see that out, see what his adventures were. He's kind of an adventure guy. I'm really curious to see where they go with that. And it's a brown man, and a brown man story. So I'm very curious in the space continuum. So I'm very curious.
And you could get political. Like, how did he become the head of Cloud City? Like, how did Bespin? What are the politics in place? Also, the suaveness. Like, and I don't know what they might do with this, but in Rise of Skywalker, at the end of that movie, he's with Janna, that new character. And he's like, let's find out. And it was a little creepy, but I maybe they'll make it not creepy and continue that storyline. The possibilities are endless. I'm happy we're getting that. I really do think that is the most underrated show that was announced. I also don't count the possibility. Look, you could have Han Solo pop up in this.
Yeah.
Like, you could have so much happen in this Lando show. There's this campaign, Make Solo 2 happen. Whether you like the movie or not, there's a bunch of people who did. And this might be a way of taking parts of whatever storyline you were going to do in Solo 2 and putting them in this show, but also having Lando do his own thing.
Yes, folks. And I want to tell you guys, my Darth Vader Is Your Father Christmas special is happening this week. And I actually talk about Chewbacca's family. on it. So you guys, his Lumpy and all them. I talk about all of them on the show. So I'm just telling you, Star Wars has a way of expanding their universe throughout the years. And like I said, some things didn't work. Some things fell flat.
Oh,
flat. And then some things really works really well. So I mean, it's. I'm excited overall. I'm excited for what's coming to Disney Plus. They're very smart. They're very smart. People want the content. I know Ryan at first you're like, this may be too much. Then they say again, you retracted your statement later. And it's like, no, that's fine. If they space it out, Ryan, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
Like almost like all this. So just like the Marvel Universe did it. So like, why not just space it out? Just have one here, and then when that ends, maybe this one starts. Maybe have a little break, then that one. It can be done.
Right, and again, these are a lot less smaller ones, but quickly just running them off. There's a droid story, which apparently is going to be R2 and C-3PO, and like introducing a new droid and going on an adventure.
Yes.
And then there's another one that I know very little about called Visions, which is some kind of celebrating Star Wars show with Japanese style animation, like retelling certain stories and going into like why certain decisions were made. And I think it's more of like a behind the scenes, similar to the Mandalorian gallery but with animation. So, and the last but not least, the Bad Batch, which was
Bad Batch. Yes,
that's the Clone Wars spin-off animated show we're getting in March. So that's very soon, people. Like that's coming in like 3 months. I'm hyped for that.
And I'm telling you guys, JLJ Media is all about Star Wars. You guys all know that. So chances are there'll be after shows for all those shows. And chances are Ryan will be doing it with me.
Hey,
I'll ask Ryan. You know, we'll talk to Ryan, see how he feels. No,
I feel great.
But for me, chances are there will be an after show for each of those things that happens here because I love this kind of stuff. I plan on watching everything. I'm not watching it all.
Watch it all.
Watch it all. So I mean, so just stay tuned on this channel. Make sure you subscribe to us because I'll let you guys know what's going on because I'm very, very. This just makes me so warm inside, like I said, for Christmas, because we needed something good to end the year like this, we need it. Yes, Ryan?
Again, sorry, and we should move to the episode, but the last thing I was going to mention, they announced one movie with Patty Jenkins directing a movie called Rogue Squadron. Holy cow.
I'm excited about that too.
Sounds personal. Sounds great.
Yes. So, okay, we'll come with the episode. We'll get to the episode. I know, folks, it's the episode. But we want to say that we could not come on here and not, you guys all agree too, we could not come on here and not talk about it. It was early Christmas for Star Wars fans.
Fully agree.
I get it. So this episode was another great, solid episode. Again, another kind of like adventure. Lots of, swashbuckling. I call it swashbuckling. That's how it felt. Swashbuckling fight scenes on top of moving things. And Bill Burr's performance completely shocked me in a wonderful way.
How did you feel about him in the episode season 1? Just curious.
Well, he was funny. He's funny, off-putting. Just like regular kind of criminalish kind of guy. I mean, I didn't think much about him. I thought he was great. I mean, I know him for his other work and stuff, and I just thought, oh, okay. A comedian and all this stuff. I know all that stuff, but it's kind of, he's again, they all fit in the universe to me. Everybody comes on the show, they fit. So I thought he was fine. He was memorable on some level, but I didn't think really much about him. So this time around, he made a total impression on me. How about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I agree. I think I liked him in season 1, although I heard, there's the argument that what's weird and what Star Wars has always been really good about is not getting these like A-listers or people you recognize. They usually go with some lesser known actors or people on the come up. And I mean, there's a few exceptions, obviously, but like seeing Bill Burr in season 1, I was a little like, oh, it's Bill Burr. Like I didn't immediately go, oh, it's this new character. I went, it's Bill Burr.
Yeah.
However, he transcended that this episode. His performance was amazing. It was truly terrific. Like he did a really great job. And I think he made that character so much more interesting than it was in season 1.
Well, I'm gonna break our rule and just go ahead. We're gonna talk about that. I'll go to that. So I'm gonna go to those scenes. I don't want to go straight to. We know what happened on the show. We'll get back to the other scenes too. But I want to get to that because that little arc towards the end of the show was what made me go, wow, he's really acting. Like he's I'm not saying he didn't act before. I'm not talking shady or anything. I know Shady Sunday. I'm not talking shady. But it just really made me go, this man really is embodying. When he was sitting across the table, and that general, whoever it was just like, well, I had to do a few things here and there, and I had to, so people got lost. So and he's like, but like 5,000, 10,000, was that really worth? I go, is that worth? I mean, he was really going through his brain, clicking, like that was really bad.
You
Like,
felt it.
he felt it.
And you know, it also the top or at the end of last week, they go, oh, he's ex-Imperial, like we're gonna keep an eye on him. And even, you know, Gina or Cara Dune's like, you know, you're Imperial, like you're not getting off that easy. We're just using it for this, and I'm putting you back in here. And I think so there's that antagonistic look at him, and he's also like teasing Mando about his helmet throughout the episode. We'll get into all that, but when it comes to that scene, you know, I think it reminded me a lot of Inglourious Bastards. Have you seen that movie? Where there's a bar scene where at a certain point they're found out and then they just rally out. He wasn't found out. He had an emotional impulse. He's like, I gotta do something. And just hearing him talk about like that battle where 5,000, 10,000 people died, it was this guy's fault, like his calls. He sacrificed the troops, and just hearing him talk about like,
Well, it's for the greater good. It's for the greatest good. It's for the greater good. And so, and we said, and we're still here. And Homeboy was like, no, you're not anymore. And then I was so shocked when he shot him. I was so shocked. I did not know he was going to do that. And I was just like, but it was a complete emotional reaction. It wasn't just revenge. What is what do you what's going on?
No, yeah, you're right. It wasn't just revenge. Like it was a straight up, like after he replied going, you know, like, well, they're all heroes of the Empire, and they're like, look at us, like we're here. It was so gross. And then him even alluding to the First Order. He's like,
yes, he did.
Well, no, but they just want order. And he just boom, like how, and it really was like a Han Solo move in many ways. Yes. Like that, he reminds me.
Mando was shocked. He was like, oh, yeah.
And even at one point, he's just like,
okay. He's like, like that. I wrote down. I think I wrote this down. I go. He reveals the destruction to get power, and he's trying to get back into the good graces of the Empire. I wrote interesting convo. I thought that was very interesting. But that was his whole point, was I want to get recognized, so they take us back in and back to power and order. That was this guy. That's all this guy was thinking about. Everybody was expendable if it gets to that point. And you know, and Bill Burr's character was like, well, you know, hello. I'm like, I'm not just expendable, man, because he was one of them. Remember, he was one of them. He was working with them. Like, and at first it was like a cat and mouse game of, remember what happened? Oh yeah, you knew your history. No, I know my history. I was there. And it's like they're almost reminiscing. He gets to feel comfortable, like to talk about it. And he said it's so gross. And then it's like, I loved it.
It was great, and it made his character all the better, and it made the scene crazy. Like now it's this rapid escape, and there's a lot of other stuff going around in that scene. But how did you want to break down the rest of the app?
Well, now when I go back to the beginning again, so I just love that. I just love it. We do every one. It's our second last episode this season. Now we go back to the thing. I mean, I just wanted to really, that scene to me was a stand up. If there was a scene,
clearly was, yeah.
That was it. It was just very unexpected, and it really matured the character in a different direction. So I was just like, okay, the writing was good, the direction was good, the whole thing was just good.
He won people over who were doubters.
I think he did. I agree with you. I think he did too.
Mayfeld, yeah.
Mayfeld, thank you, Mayfeld. So they begin, when we find him in a junkyard, basically a scrap yard, as we imagine they'd be doing. I guess the sets are wonderful. I mean, it looks so realistic. Like I would hate to be here.
And I'm repeating his number like 4665 6555565. Blah, blah, blah. Turn over 655 555. Like he kept saying the number over and over again. Like, jeez.
He's a robot.
They said it at least 6 times.
Wait, they kept repeating himself. Yeah, he's on it because he's a robot. He only had one thing to do. He had one thing to do, was to get him over there. Get him over there. I love that car. And Cara Dune was just so like not talking, just follow her, not talking. The Marshal. I thought here's the funny line for me. It's a little line that made me laugh when Boba Fett and Finnick show up, and he sees the suit. He goes, "Oh, I thought you were that other guy." And then all of a sudden, Mando comes down. He's like. And I started laughing. I was like, "That's so funny."
Great.
That line just made. I wrote that line just made me laugh. And I was like, "I thought you were that other guy." And then all of a sudden, Mando comes down. He's like, "Oh God!" He's like, "Man."
They had some great lines. There was. I have a different favorite line from this episode, but that was awesome. That they get on the ship, and oh, by the way, Boba Fett with a paint job. looking clean. Like he like sprayed that, maybe even did like a little stain. Like that was, woo.
He went to the car wash. He's doing better. He's doing better. He's doing better. He looks clean and fresh now. You know that suit. They get the suit back and they clean it up. Makes you look good.
He definitely. It's like you got to look cute in order to fight.
So they're headed to Moff Gideon. So they're like right off the bat. We're headed off.
We got to get the coordinates. We got to go find the place to get the coordinates.
So Morak is this place. He said that Mayfield tells them it's a secret, like ex-imperial area, and they're down there. We have to go to this refinery, and it's all this whole thing there. So what's really interesting, they get there. I love what these different planets. I love these planets. They get there when they have to put on the stormtrooper outfits.
Right.
Bill Burr's character Mayfield has to fight. He's like, it's still sweaty and it's like all that stuff. But seeing Mando in one, what a trip!
Oh my gosh!
It must psychologically, it must be a trip.
And you know, the great thing before that, when they're trying to decide like who's going to go with Bill Burr, and everyone's like, I'm wanted, I can't, because there's like a scan or like they might recognize you, and both they like Fett, and he this is my favorite line of the episode. He goes, let's just say they might recognize my face, because he's like a clone. He looks like all the clones. It's the same genetic makeup.
That's a great line too. I know it's a great line.
So they would recognize his face. Like and it wasn't like obvious, but such a good line.
I love that line. No, I remember. I caught it. I love that line, and so I thought it was good. And so it was good. So what was it come later to save the day? Kind of right out there. But the women and him are going to go in. They're going to keep watch. But these two, I mean, of course, put them together like an old buddy flick. Put them together. They don't really like each other that much, you know. But for me, the emotional beat was him wearing that suit. And my second favorite line in the whole episode, I wrote it down.
Which was
they were driving.
Okay.
And Mayfield literally says a lot of really good stuff, though, about how either you're ruled or you're a ruler in this galaxy. Everything is just very much like power and be killed, so to speak. When they go through that village, that was very interesting. The way they shot with the kids looking at them because they're stormtroopers. Like it was very emotional to me. This episode was much more emotional in parts than it happened in a while. And then he says to Mando, "You can't take off your helmet, but you don't want to show your face."
Or you can't take off the Mandalorian armor, or you can't show your face.
No. I wrote it down.
Is that
one? I
wrote
down, Ryan.
My bad.
You said you can't. So you can't take off your helmet,
right?
Or you can't show your face.
And there is a difference.
That's why I wrote it down, because I thought I want to ask Ryan this because it's very interesting. That's a heavy loaded question,
right?
Parts, and later we see it later. But at that moment, it's like, right. What is this? Is it just because it's part of your outfit, or are you afraid to be seen?
I mean, yeah, I don't know what the sips tea. I don't know what the rules exactly are. And I definitely think he's been in the rules, because it's like, don't take off your Mandalorian armor because you're a Mandalorian, and like but at the same time, it's like you can't show your face. So like I see it's a quandary, and he was willing to kind of bend it a little. He still didn't show his face. And I thought that was a really great question. And then he has that great line of like, I don't know what it is with you people. And by you people, I mean Mandalorians. Like
those are great lines. I said, no, that's another one too. And I mean Mandalorians.
Right.
That's hilarious. And that's also a great commentary on.
It's like when the chips are down, what are you going to do? Gonna take it off?
Right.
We're going to keep it on.
Well, we see what's with that later, of course. Again, adventure. We had adventure, which I love. Immediately, there's this rhydonium that they're carrying. You can't go down a certain level, or else you'll explode or whatever. So there's forces trying to stop you from getting to the stormtrooper refinery. So we had this whole sequence, which I called very swashbuckling on top of moving thing. And it's very Indiana Jones, very big. To me, it was kind of grand. We hadn't seen
it was. Oh, and it's the turbo tanks, those transports. What a fun! I have that Lego. Okay, I had that Lego when I was a kid. Like that is from the Clone Wars era. I have it. I was losing my mind.
Did you just say I have that Lego?
I have that Lego. I have it. It's probably within like 50 feet of me right now. Like I
Oh
have
my
it.
God, I
It
love
is
it.
great.
Yeah,
It
that
is.
Lego.
So I was nerding out on that, and then the whole idea that like, oh, there are these pirates, these locals who, whether it's resistance, rebellion, empire, whatever, there are people who are inflicting on their land, and they're taking out all the explosives, and like, oh gosh, what an awesome scene.
Yes, it was great, and they reminded me of Slee Stack or whatever, or those things from Land of Lost. I don't know what they were. They're like some web things that were kind of. I was like, oh, I got some Land of Lost.
Oh
It's
yeah,
like my '70s childhood
I
stuff's coming
forgot
out.
about that.
Yeah, that's what they look like. It's like, cause I forgot. I always try to see what the creatures are on all these planets, and I'm like, they're kind of webby or whatever. I don't know what's going on there. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, so they kept coming and coming and coming. I think the ironic part was here's the irony, Ryan.
Yeah.
They got saved in the end because Mandalorian, he was tired. You can tell he was like, this is not my usual suits. I'm not getting knocked out. And it was
I
the Imperial that they saved them. Basically, the stormtroopers came in their fighter things and saved them, and they made it to their destination. I thought that was ironic.
Definitely a little ironic. It's absolutely ironic, and also like, there's even that line like, "Oh, you never thought you'd be this happy to see stormtroopers, are you?"
Yeah, exactly. Like that's it's just like yeah. That's
And
very,
Bill Burr was still. I keep saying Bill Burr. Mayfeld was still
I know.
reluctant. Like he still salutes them. Like he still has that code of honor with them. But it's great. Like they're showing an example of someone who did fight with the Empire, who isn't necessarily that bad of a guy.
Yeah. And so now we have a dilemma. A dilemma.
A dilemma.
Which they always do this on the show. Keep it going. So, in order to get to one of the terminals to get the information you need, where
Yes.
Montpellier is at,
Mm-hmm.
you need to go to this thing in the officers' lounge and use facial recognition.
Oh no. Which I was a
And
little confused.
me too. I thought it had to be Bill's face. I can say Bill too. Mayfield's face because he's a former whatever. I didn't know it could be
Okay.
anybody's face.
Okay. This is what I'm lost on. It's still not clear. Was that okay? So it was some kind of like ship log where you can sign in and get
Yeah.
coordinates to like a ship. Like that's what that device was.
Yeah.
That's why they had to go there.
Yeah.
And since it's at an Imperial base, you can do Imperial ships. I was confused about like, is it for for people who can access it? Do you have to be just not on the wanted list, or are you in the Imperial Register? Because I like that's what really confused me is like I know that when at the beginning of the episode when they're like I can't go because this that whatever, that one of them was like, oh, it's because I'm wanted, I'm on the wanted list, like they may recognize my face, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But I was just confused, like why would you have a machine that only blocks people who are on the wanted list? Like how about just have a machine that's just for the Imperials, but maybe it's not like strictly what did you think?
Same here. I want to say hello to my sister and brother-in-law are on right now. They live 2 blocks away from me. They're on. They watch Mandalorian. So hello.
Hello.
Yeah, this was. So I don't know. I mean, again, I was confused. Also, I'm kind of like, well, isn't there just one big thing out there that just everybody should just be on and whatever, and there's certain things work and some don't. I thought this terminal was literally going to be just. It should be just for anybody who's part of the Imperial. Now,
Right.
whether that X or otherwise, I guess, unless you were X out of it or you die, you get out. I mean, I don't know you'd be out, but I didn't realize that it was confusing to me. That part was confusing. It wasn't clear to me either. I wasn't clear.
Yeah, and
but
then
it's like
how interesting
yeah.
would it have been if it was just for Imperials, and then it's like, whoa, does Mando have like an Imperial past that we're not aware of?
See, I was shocked when it worked for him because when Mayfield goes, I can't go in there because I worked for that guy over there. He'll recognize me. I was like, well, then you said facial recognition. So I'm thinking facial recognition is your face is the one that's the one that's going to read your. I mean, I didn't know it's like facial recognition.
It was a little confusing.
It was a little confusing. So that part I would say God should clear it up a little bit. I mean, I don't know, it's kind of weird. Yeah. But I know it made for tension and drama. I know that was the whole thing. And so when he takes off his helmet, we see Pedro Pascal.
Pedro. And he gets to act. He gets a scene where he's.
I know. It was like I was like shocked. I was
and
like,
he crushed it.
He did. I was like, we see his face. You never see his face. And so he takes it off. But that whole tension of him going to the front there and Homeboy was watching him. But then when he gets caught, he gets saved by Mayfield.
Yes.
Comes in with the
He's hard of
save.
hearing.
Yeah, it's hard of hearing. We call him Brown Eyes. That's so funny, Brown Eyes. That was hilarious. But he comes in, so he's there for Mando.
Right.
So it's like, oh, okay,
Respect.
so bad guy. He's changing. So they get the information, but then he's like, let's have a drink.
Ooh.
Like, where's that going? Like, I was just kind of, where's that going? I don't understand that's kind of interesting. And then we get to that conversation, which was, of course, a great conversation. Meanwhile, the ladies are up there with their sharpshooters, working together. Finnick and Kara working together,
scoping it out, seeing what's up.
This episode, we had no Baby Yoda, no Grogu's.
I know.
First episode, I think,
first
period,
one.
Right? Of both seasons.
This is the first one with no Grogu.
Did not feature anything. Hayward Wong says he looked miserable with that hat off. You don't really look miserable. It was like he was. I mean, he had to take his hat off. I mean, his hat.
He had to do what he had to do. He had to do what he had to do.
They had to see his face.
And it was a good touch where he's like, after the shootout, he goes, "I never saw your face," and like, leave it at that.
I wonder, on a side note, I do wonder for the actor, where any actor who plays in costume. I remember the guy who played Worf on the other series, Star Wars. Talked about that. He was like, his name was some Dorn, Michael Dorn, or whatever, about how he can walk the streets, no one knows who he is. He doesn't get mobbed anywhere because he plays a character in character. So you don't really see his face. So I wonder now I see Pedro's face. I just wonder what it's like to work on a show where you're on a hit show, but your face is not really shown.
Yeah, I think it's funny. There was like rumors over the summer that he had like a big blow up on set about it, which I doubt that's true. I get it was from a lot of miscellaneous, no official source. And I honestly don't think it's a big deal. I think people do affiliate the character with him. We have seen him with his helmet off a few times. It's unfortunate that like this character requires that. But hey, James Earl Jones is the one you think of when you think Darth Vader.
That's true. You're right. At
least you're in the universe. You're getting paid.
No, you get the belt. No, that's a good point, Ryan. That people, when they think of Darth Vader, and I mean, like I said, David Prowse who played him in the body, and then people play but Darth Vader's voice, his embodiment, who he is James Earl Jones. And that's everybody. Right. I mean, he didn't play him, in a physical body. So you're right about that, I guess. Okay, you're right about that. And I love Pedro's voice. I love his voice. I think it's a great voice.
I think he does a great job, and I think maybe we'll see more of him as the show progresses.
Yes, and then we got the stormtroopers trying to get them. They get out. We have to kill Homeboy. Those stormtroopers are so dumb, and there's like all these memes about stormtroopers, and then like they're real people too. I'm like, whatever. I think stormtroopers are so dumb. But this is the first time though I've seen the stormtroopers in a long time like regular folk. When they came, it was like they're like regular. They're just like there for
cheering people on, like you guys.
Yeah, they're like Some had their hats, helmets off. Some did. I was like, oh, okay, they're like regular folk. That was very interesting. So the ladies help with them getting them out of there. We see the slave one come down, come on down, and I love that ship so much. I can't even tell you how much I love that ship.
And they get on board, and again, like that scene with them talking in the shootout was the highlight. But in terms of me freaking out, yelling, and then fist pumping in the air, they're flying away and the TIE fighters are after them. And then a little bomb pops out. And anyone who's, Attack of the Clones, there's a scene where Jango Fett, it's like in pursuit of Obi-Wan Kenobi and he's dropping these bombs and the sound effect is so badass. It's one of my favorite Star Wars sound effects is the sound of that bomb going off. And they do it again here and it takes out both ships simultaneously. Holy cow, nerdgasm.
Yes. I want to say on a side note, folks, because that reminded me of something. I watched a documentary on Netflix called High Score. And it's about the video gaming industry starting from the 70s all the way up to the 2000s and now. And one of the episodes talks about a guy who invented all the sounds for many of the old school games and the importance of the sounds. And I thought about that when I watched Mandalorian. I was like, all the different sounds they make for all different, all the lightsaber coming, they're all iconic. It's all something that's part of it. That's part of the show. So anyway, totally. High Score is good. You should watch it on Netflix. It's good.
I will definitely check it out.
It's a half-hour episodes. There's something about all from Sega Genesis to Commodore to Atari. I mean, everything. It's such a great series. But it's like that. So literally, they everybody's good. They're all there, and time for Mayfield to go back, or is it?
Or is it?
Or
I think
is
he died in that explosion, James Lott Jr.
I love the way he did that, because at first they drew it out for a little bit because Cardew was looking at him, and Mando, we can't see Mando's face. He was back in his regular garb, but she was staring at him. He's like, "Okay, come take me. Let's do what we gotta do." And then she said, "Yeah, I think he didn't make it out of that explosion alive." And they started talking back and forth. He did redeem, again, Star Wars. He redeemed himself. Mayfield redeemed himself by really helping them.
Yeah, he did, and even Cara Dune to say that, who was like very opposed to him, like Imperial scum, and then just, oh no, I think you're good, and he walks off. He's gone. He's out.
But it's so funny. At first, he's like, "You're gonna get me." I mean, it's like kind of like, "Are you gonna get me before I leave?" And he walks off. I'm like, "Where's he gonna go?" Like he's on this planet with these Imperial people. So we'll see what happens.
That's a good point. And where is he gonna go?
Maybe
he joins Rangers of the New Republic. Maybe.
Do something there. So he's good. So they send a message. This part was very emotional too.
What did you think of this?
I was shocked. I was like, the way he said, and I wrote it down. This is the line. This is the line.
Read it up.
Line. I wrote it down. I see. I have my notes here. These are my notes, people. I actually take notes while watching the show. My notes. Okay. I'm a nerd. He says, and Moffat. I mean, this thing we got to set it up. There's a message for you, sir. And then Moff turns around. The great Giancarlo Esposito, who's ready, and all of a sudden the hologram comes up. The hologram message, and it's Mando. He says several things, but the last line is, "And he means more to me than you'll ever know."
You'll ever know.
I was like,
can I ask you a question, Mr. James Lott Jr.?
Yes, Ryan Nielsen.
Do you know where we heard that line before?
Ooh.
I'm going to blow your mind. I didn't realize this until I watched it the second time.
What did we hear the line before?
That entire video message, start to finish, verbatim, is the same exact monologue that Giancarlo Esposito said in the second to last episode of season 1 when they're all cornered in the bar. The same monologue. He says everything word for word, the exact same.
How'd you realize
dialogue? So at the end of that episode, like it keeps cutting back, because if you remember in season 1, it keeps cutting back because the I Have Spoken guy, I'm forgetting his name, forgive me, is going Nick Nolte. He's going back and forth between, like, he's like, Quill, his name's Quill, are you at the ship yet? And he's like on the thing, and the speeders are in pursuit, and it's cutting back and forth. And then Giancarlo's like, you have something of mine, I want it back.
He said that. Oh my god!
And he ends that sentence with, like, it means more to me than you'll ever know. So he's doing mind games. This was like his Taken moment. I expected Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn to come in and be like,
you, and I will kill you. And I love it. I love those movies. I've seen all 3 of them. I love them. When Liam Neeson says, "I'm going to find you and kill you," he's going to find you and kill you. He ain't joking. He's going to go all over the world, and he's going to find you again. He did retrieve his daughter. He got his kid. He got his kid back.
Got his kid. So hey, this is setting up a Taken moment, man. So I'm expecting. I mean, we can even talk about what we're expecting for next week, but I am expecting a long episode, a long finale. It's Jon Favreau directing it. I mean, it's all on the table. They got the crew, they got the coordinates, they're in pursuit. Here we go.
So we got Boba Fett, Finnick, and Mando.
Maybe Cara Dune. Maybe Cara Dune.
Maybe. I mean, we don't know any. Yeah, maybe her. We don't know what's happening. We don't know what's good is. But I'm thinking, for sure, we know Finnick and
Boba Fett.
They said we're going to help you get him. That's the whole point. Right. You're dead.
Big time.
Now here's the question.
What's that?
Everybody. Who's the Jedi?
Right. Are we going to get the Jedi?
Are we going to get there? Like, who's the Jedi?
You know, it's funny. Like, just this show is so unpredictable at times. Yeah. The next episode the first scene could be with the Jedi.
That's true.
It could be the last scene.
You're right.
I really don't know. I am really curious to see what they'll do with that. I assume, like, I was talking about this Bless me, it's not COVID. I was talking with someone today about the dynamics of this show. Like it would be easy for them to just do like 4 or 5 seasons of this show, and it's a nonstop, like Giancarlo Esposito wants Baby Yoda. Mando has Baby Yoda. He takes him, he gets him back. He takes him, he gets him back. I think that might get stale after a while, and I just think they're better storytellers than that. Something's got to happen in this finale that changes the dynamic of the whole show. I don't think it's going to be. I don't anticipate season 3 being the same thing of like they get Baby Yoda back and now they're after him again, or they don't get him back and they're still trying to get him. I think something else has got to change here. So I'm really curious to see what that is, and that could be this new introduction of a Jedi. Who knows? What do you think?
You could be right. You're right. I mean, if the show is so unpredictable, you could be right. I mean, that's
Skywalker.
Skywalker. Oh my god, crazy. I know that they know. I can tell. I don't really. I can tell. They know the fans. Okay, I want to say this. They know that Star Wars fans are intelligent enough to know all the ins and outs of stuff. So they know they got to do it correctly. They know they got to do it in a way that will please at least most of the fans. We can't please everybody. First of all, you just can't. But they know they got to do it in a way that's satisfying. That's the word. They got to do that's satisfying to the audience, or else the audience will turn on them. Right. And I know that and right now they've done everything correctly. Yeah, there have been a few things we didn't like here and there, but so far so good. True. So far, folks are liking the season 2. They love season 1, like season 2. So they're going to really have to end it on a note that's not insulting to the fans, that makes sense, that's satisfying.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I almost feel like they could end it with he doesn't have Baby Yoda. They could end it where he doesn't have him still. But they could
be an ending.
They could, and they could end it where he gets him. Something else happens, like you said. If something else happens that change, I feel like you're right. There's a change coming, a big change. I mean, it's going to be a game-changing thing. I believe. I don't know what. I just don't know what it is. I can't.
Something's coming.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. It has to be something that's really going to change the trajectory of the show. Like it's going to make it go this way now. Like it's going to pivot. You're right. They can't do the same thing season after season. It's get boring after a while.
It would. And I think, another key thing to think about is what this introduction of the Jedi could mean. Like it could be something. I don't think it's going to be a huge change. Like I'm not talking about like, look, even if that is the next 2 seasons, that's not the worst thing in the world. Like it's still interesting to me. It's just not as interesting as it could be. I think it could be something as simple as here's a new Jedi character. He's also after Grogu, and maybe Moff Gideon trades. Like he says, "Whoa, we have more power. We have more possibility of getting like whatever the Force or midichlorians, the M counts from this Jedi." And then while Boba Fett and Mando are taking Baby Grogu, boom, they take this Jedi, and now he's kind of roped into this, and they got to maybe rescue the Jedi next season. Like there's a ton of interesting stuff that's at play here. I think it might be something along the lines of that, but I am on board. Like I'm casting my vote. I think we're going to get a new Jedi somewhere in next episode. So I have a question for you now. Boba Fett, right? He did not have a show announced.
No,
this big announcement, Disney, here's all our stuff. And maybe they didn't announce it because they don't want to spoil the end of this show. Like, will Boba die? Who knows? Or maybe it's because they're not doing a Boba Fett show, and maybe he's in the rest of the series. Like he's in season 3. Do you think right now they're shooting something with Boba Fett? There've been plenty of reports like they're shooting something with Tamara Morrison as Boba Fett right now. I think that's probably season 3 Mandalorian. I'm curious to think, what if, after this debt is done, like if they get Baby Grogu, what does Boba Fett do then? Does he want the Beskar medal? Like, is there going to be, I know he's a good guy right now. Could something change? Like, what do you think's going to go down with Boba Fett in this finale?
I have no idea. I mean, tell you the truth, I can't even, there's too many possibilities. That's the problem with that's the blessing and curse of the Star Wars universe, is that now we have him back. There's 10 million possibilities they can go with him. They can go dark, they can go light, they can go in between, they can put him with different people. They can do, there's so many things they can do with him that I can't even begin to even guesstimate what he'll do with him. And so my brother-in-law says they're wondering, is season 3 not, when do we know when the season, it's going to be a long time before we get one, do you think? Because of the pandemic, is it stretched out? Have they started being...
They are filming right now. And that's what they did last year. They're on top of it. They filmed. They were filming season 2 when season 1 was coming out last year. Okay. What's funny is the Rosario Dawson Ahsoka Tano episode, when that came out, she posted a photo leaked last year, mid-season of George Lucas holding Baby Yoda. And we got confirmation from Rosario Dawson. She was like, I was just like 5 feet to the right in that photo, and they cropped it out. And that photo came out in like January of last year.
Okay.
So they filmed this stuff a year out. Like, they're very on top of it. So don't worry. It's not going to be delayed unless something catastrophic happens. I fully expect this to come out in the end of October next year.
Well, they were wrong with saying Christmas 2021. So you're both thinking end of the next year, like towards the last quarter of next year. Okay, good. Okay. Yeah, because I think they want to keep the momentum going too. They don't want to wait too long, because some shows, the space happens too long and they really lose momentum and lose viewership. But I'm just like, all this Star Wars goodness happening. I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And next week's the last episode, folks. That's the last episode of the season.
Last one.
That's the finale. I hate to see this go. I feel like we just started doing the show. Like, did we just start like a few weeks ago? I guess it's 8 episodes.
Yeah, it's flying by, and I gotta tell you, it's been amazing. Like, I really do think the past 3 weeks I've talked more Star Wars than I have before that. And we had a show.
Same here.
We're on cloud 9. This is the best feeling.
Yeah, it is the best feeling, folks. So thank you guys for watching our show, listening to it, tuning in with us. We'll be back next Friday, regular time, because it's going to be the finale. So we're going to be back on time to make sure we can talk about, because everybody's talking about it, of course. I mean, we're going to break it all down. If it's an hour long, 15 minutes long, whatever, we're going to talk about the whole shebang of The Mandalorian. Chapter 16.
Chapter 6. Wow.
I know, it's crazy.
Yeah. It's building up to something. It really is. And it might be something with the helmet. It might be something like you got to take it off, or I don't know. I really don't know. It's building up to something, though. And I do think it's interesting that we didn't see Grogu at all this episode.
We didn't. I know. Ryan, somebody can find you.
At Ryan Nilsen, RYNILSEN on Twitter, Ryan Nilsen on Instagram. And you can find me on SCN Live on the Schmodown Entertainment Network 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. Just said the same thing twice.
That's fine.
At 9 a.m.
At 9 a.m. Make sure everybody tunes in. That's why. And so if you're staying on this network with me, I'm doing the GH report shortly. GH Me Spotlight. That'll be next with Lucretia Lyon and Frank Moran. So we'll be doing that next. And then tonight at 8 p.m., after that show's done, it's me, Tony Moore, Flobo Voice, and Jack Farmer talking about the business.
Jack Farmer.
I love Jack Farmer. And it's going to be my Extra Connections live show at 8 p.m. So we're doing all that. I'm James Lott Jr. You can find where all James Lott Jr.'s are sold at James Lott Jr. Also social media platforms. On TikTok, too. I talk Star Wars on TikTok also, folks.
Yes, he does. He's huge on TikTok.
I'm huge on TikTok, my Star Wars army. I love you guys. Everyone, please be safe. We'll see you next Friday. Take care, you guys.
So long.
This is the way.
This is the way.